Why your greatest wound might be your greatest weapon. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dole say, like sweet softness whispered in French. And I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft and loving every second of it. Today, I want to share something that's going to challenge everything you thought you knew about resilience, about strength, about what it really means to build a life that honors your wholeness. I recently had the honor of sitting down with Casondra Dokes, a woman whose journey embodies transformation, courage, and the audacity to turn adversity into purpose. Cassandra isn't just surviving, she's redefining what it means to thrive in a world that wasn't designed for her success. She's creating pathways for others, breaking down barriers, and proving that the obstacles we face don't define us, they refine us. Her insights are going to shake you, wake you, and hopefully liberate you. Here's what I want you to sit with today. We've been taught that resilience is about enduring, it's about pushing through, it's about being strong enough to survive whatever life throws at us. We wear our survival like a badge of honor. We say things like, I've been through so much, but I'm still here. And that's true. That's beautiful. That's powerful. But what if I told you that resilience isn't just about surviving adversity? What if resilience is actually about using every challenge, even those that seem insurmountable, as a catalyst for redefining your purpose and building new pathways to success? What if the very thing that tried to break you is actually the foundation of your breakthrough? That's the counterintuitive truth that emerged from my conversation with Cassandra Dokes. And it's a truth that's echoed in the stories of Black professionals and entrepreneurs who are not just overcoming obstacles, they're transforming those obstacles into innovation, into community empowerment, into movements that change the world. Let me tell you about Tommy Johnson. Tommy is the founder of MADE, a blockchain powered verification system designed to protect Black creativity. In 2025, Tommy and his team won the inaugural Keep It 100 pitch competition at the One Club's Where Are All the Black People conference in New York City, walking away with a $50,000 grant and national recognition. But here's what makes Tommy's story so disruptive. Made wasn't born out of abundance. It wasn't born out of privilege. It wasn't born because Tommy had access to endless resources or connections or capital. Made was born out of necessity. It was born out of rage. It was born out of witnessing over and over again Black creativity, Black culture, Black intellectual property being stolen, appropriated, exploited, without recognition, without compensation, without justice. Tommy didn't just sit with that pain. He didn't just accept that reality. He transformed it. He leveraged blockchain technology to create a trust mark and registration system that verifies and protects Black creative assets, making ownership transparent and secure. He turned cultural theft into a tool for empowerment. He turned a barrier into a breakthrough. And in doing so, he inspired other Black entrepreneurs to innovate for community protection and economic empowerment. Tommy didn't just survive the reality of cultural exploitation, he became the solution. He turned his wound into a weapon. And that's what resilience looks like when it's not just about survival. That's what happens when you refuse to let adversity define you, and instead you let it refine you, redirect you, and ultimately empower you. Now let's talk about Jessica O. Matthews. Jessica is the founder and CEO of Uncharted, and she's a Black woman innovator who developed energy solutions for underserved communities. Jessica invented the socket, a soccer ball that generates electricity through play, and she built Uncharted to deliver clean energy solutions globally. But Jessica's journey wasn't easy. She faced skepticism as a young Black woman entrepreneur in the tech and energy sector. She faced the technical and financial hurdles of scaling a hardware startup. She faced doubt, resistance, and barriers at every single turn. People told her it couldn't be done. People told her she was too young, too inexperienced, too ambitious. People told her to wait, to shrink, to play small. But Jessica's Nigerian heritage and her firsthand experience with unreliable electricity inspired her to use her engineering background to create change. She didn't just accept the problem, she didn't just complain about the problem, she became the solution. Her company has provided power to communities in Nigeria and beyond. It has won international recognition and attracted millions in investment. And her work has empowered other Black women and young entrepreneurs to pursue STEM fields and social entrepreneurship. Jessica's story teaches us something profound. Innovation thrives in adversity. Some of the most groundbreaking ideas in businesses are born from the necessity to solve problems that others overlook or underestimate. When you're forced to navigate a world that wasn't designed for you, when you're forced to create solutions that don't yet exist, you develop the creativity, the resourcefulness, the vision to build something entirely new. You don't just survive, you innovate, you disrupt, you transform. And then there's Cassie Chandler. Cassie became the FBI's first African American female special agent assistant director. Let that sink in for a moment. The first, she broke barriers in law enforcement and corporate America. And after doing so, she became a motivational leadership expert. Cassie faced systemic bias, isolation, and the pressure of being a first in high stakes environments. She was constantly watched, constantly judged, constantly questioned. She had to be twice as good to get a half as far. She had to prove herself over and over again. But Cassie didn't let that break her. She focused on building authentic leadership, resilience, and mentoring other Black professionals to navigate and transform organizational cultures. Cassie's leadership development programs and keynotes have influenced thousands, helping organizations embrace diversity and inclusion. She built a legacy of advocacy for underrepresented professionals in both public and private sectors. Her work has increased representation and changed perceptions of Black leadership across industries. What Cassie's story reveals is this: community and collaboration are essential. Success is rarely achieved alone. Building and leveraging networks within the Black professional community can open doors and create opportunities that might otherwise remain closed. Cassie didn't just break barriers for herself, she broke them so that others could walk through. She turned her isolation into invitation. She turned her struggle into a staircase for the next generation. So here's what I learned from Casondra Dokes and what these stories confirm. Your story is your superpower. Every challenge you face, whether it's personal, professional, or societal, can be transformed into a unique asset that fuels your leadership and entrepreneurial journey. Think about that for a moment. Really sit with it. The very thing that tried to break you, the very obstacle that seemed insurmountable, the very struggle that made you question whether you could keep going, that is your superpower. That is the foundation of your purpose. That is the fuel for your innovation. That is the gift you didn't ask for, but that the world desperately needs. But here's the thing: we've been conditioned to hide our struggles, we've been conditioned to mask our pain, we've been conditioned to present a polished version of ourselves that doesn't reveal the scars, the setbacks, the survival. We've been taught that strength means never showing weakness, that success means never admitting failure, that leadership means never asking for help. And that's a lie. That's the lie that keeps us isolated, exhausted, and disconnected from the very communities that could support us, uplift us, and amplify our impact. That's the lie that keeps us grinding ourselves into the ground, sacrificing our peace, our joy, our softness, all in the name of proving we're worthy. Casondra Dokes reminded me that resilience isn't a solo act, it's a collective practice. It's about building and leveraging networks. It's about sharing your story so that someone else can see themselves in it. It's about creating pathways for others, even as you're still finding your own way. It's about refusing to let your pain be wasted. It's about turning your survival into service. And that's what the soft girl era is all about. It's about releasing the cape. It's about redefining strength. It's about embracing softness. It's about healing in real time. It's about protecting peace as a practice. It's about turning purpose beyond pain into something sacred and supportive for others. It's about learning to be soft in a world that taught you survival. It's about letting go of hustle as identity. It's about learning to say no without guilt. It's about setting boundaries without apology. It's about resting without explanation. It's about embracing healing, wholeness, softness, and emotional honesty. Because here's the truth: you don't have to keep grinding to prove your worth, you don't have to keep carrying everyone else's burdens to earn your place. You don't have to keep sacrificing your peace to be considered strong. You don't have to keep wearing the cape that's suffocating you. Softness is not weakness. Softness is a radical act of self love. Softness is the reclamation of your joy, your rest, your freedom. Softness is the spiritual, emotional, and mental recalibration that allows you to shift from constantly grinding to finally grounding in joy, peace, and self prioritization. And when you embrace that softness, when you honor your wholeness, when you protect your peace, you don't become less effective. You become more powerful, you become more innovative, you become more impactful because you're no longer operating from a place of depletion. You're operating from a place of abundance. You're operating from a place of clarity. You're operating from a place of purpose. Tommy Johnson didn't build made from a place of scarcity. He built it from a place of vision, of possibility, of determination to protect and empower his community. Jessica Matthews didn't create Uncharted from a place of doubt. She created it from a place of purpose, of conviction, of commitment to solving a problem that mattered. Cassie Chandler didn't break barriers from a place of fear. She broke them from a place of authenticity, of resilience, of dedication to mentoring the next generation. And that's what Casondra Dokes is teaching us. That's what this soft girl era is all about. It's about transforming your biggest challenge into your greatest contribution, not just for yourself, but for your community. It's about refusing to let your pain be meaningless. It's about turning your wound into a weapon for change. So here's my challenge for you today. How can you transform your biggest challenge into your greatest contribution? How can you take the very thing that tried to break you and turn it into the foundation of your purpose? How can you use your story, your struggle, your survival to create pathways for others? I want you to take one step today, just one. Share your story with someone who needs to hear it. Support another Black professional who's struggling in silence. Launch that idea you've been holding back on because you're afraid it's not good enough or you're not ready. Your resilience could be the spark that lights the way for others. Your wound could be the weapon that breaks down barriers for the next generation. Because the world doesn't need more people pretending to have it all together. The world needs more people brave enough to be real, to be vulnerable, to be soft. The world needs more people who understand that strength isn't about how much you can carry. It's about knowing when to put it down. It's about knowing when to rest, when to ask for help, when to say no, when to choose yourself. It's about knowing that your softness is not a weakness, it's your superpower. Stop waiting for permission to rest. Stop waiting for permission to heal. Stop waiting for permission to be soft. Stop waiting for permission to prioritize yourself. You don't need anyone's approval to reclaim your joy, your peace, your freedom. You don't need anyone's validation to honor your wholeness. You don't need anyone's permission to live in your soft girl era. The revolution isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter, resting deeper, and loving yourself louder. It's about refusing to let survival be your only story. It's about writing a new narrative, one where you're not just surviving, you're thriving, one where you're not just enduring, you're enjoying, one where you're not just pushing through, you're flowing with grace, with ease, with softness. Your story is your superpower. Your softness is your strength. Your resilience is the gift that keeps on giving. And the world is waiting for you to step into your soft girl era, to release the cape, to embrace the softness, to reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom you deserve. So, what are you waiting for? The world needs your wound turned into a weapon. The world needs your pain turned into purpose. The world needs your story. And the world needs you soft, whole, and free. And